Well, welcome to WVU Football Going Deep once again, or for the first time. Regardless, I'm Forrest Poston, whether you've been here before or not. I'm stuck with it. Well, more or less. Some things have been happening, some things haven't. Some things might, some things probably won't. And I'm not going to talk about most of those. I catch up on a little bit of news and possibilities, but more than anything else, I'm going to talk about cornerbacks, which has been a major subject for quite a few years now. Hopefully, it is going to be, well, still a subject, but in a more positive way. We had good corner play last year, but it was the same two guys. Catching up on a little bit of news, we do have freshmen and transfers showing up, getting enrolled. Only a few so far, but some key ones. Confirmed anyway. Now it's possible other guys are there and they haven't posted or they haven't been seen and nobody has said so yet. But we do have Altuner, Cross, Fagan, Farmer, Terry, and Williams confirmed as at least on campus and or enrolled. And of course, hearing about Wilkins is particularly good since he is at least going to be competing for the title of quarterback of the future. That leaves, of course, quite a few who aren't there yet, but it is a holiday weekend. I'm not sure when classes start, and not sure who might be expected to come later in the summer. It's a bit like signing day, except it is stretched out over several days, and we don't really know what's supposed to happen. So we're not sure when we're supposed to hope for it to happen, or when we should start getting worried, but I'm not going to be too worried regardless. Don't have time for it. Meanwhile, we also have summer camps getting started, largely through June and July or thereabouts. And, well, with a little bit of luck, we're going to be getting some commitments. And maybe quite a few commitments. By the end of June or mid-July, we may have most of the 2025 class, at least, verbally committed. I'm kind of working with a guess of 20 commits, plus or minus one or two, I guess. Meanwhile, cornerbacks. I'm going to be looking at them mostly in terms of class, how many years they have left to play, which is not necessarily exactly the same thing. In terms of seniors, guys with 1 year left, this is it. I don't, one or two of them may have a redshirt year. I don't think so. But that would be Fagan, Hollis, and Tarnu. Alphabetical order. And they are all transfers, which kind of reflects the problem we've had. We have not been able to get and keep good corners. And for various reasons, and a lot of them, well, some we ended up not wanting to keep, and some didn't want to stay, which is enough reason to let them go. If they don't want to be there, let them go. And a lot of the guys who left didn't do all that great elsewhere, so I think we are doing better with recruiting and will be doing better, therefore, with retention. Meanwhile, this year we are going to depend very heavily on transfers. Hollis is probably the key in that trio. It's been expected that he'll start. hopes are high. But of course, we had Miller exit and Spells get injured. Spells' injury is still, I don't know if it's clear to the coaching staff, but it's not clear to us yet. He's expected to be out at least to fall camp, maybe most of fall camp, and maybe into the early part of the season. So with all of that considered, well, they already wanted to add another body, and we added two. That being, of course, Fagan and Tarnow. In terms of experience, the three are fairly equal. Size-wise, they're all fairly decent. Hollis has an edge, an inch taller, a little heavier. And, of course, Hollis played at Northwestern, so we're talking Big Ten, we're talking Power 3. Didn't necessarily face a lot of high-powered passing offenses. Fagan and Tarnow are moving up from smaller schools. We'll have to do it in a hurry. They were signed later. Hollis got here over spring break, which, I mean, he didn't really have a lot of time to be getting ready for the spring game, so I'm not real worried about his showing there. But it did give him an edge overall, just in getting used to the system and prep time. So I definitely, if Hollis doesn't start, it either means there's a problem or a couple of guys just turned out to be a whole heck of a lot better than expected. So figure Hollis as one of the starters. Will Fagan or Tarnow be the other starter? It's what they're here for. These guys are not coming, to West Virginia just to sit. They don't really want to be a backup, even if they get a pretty fair number of snaps. They probably want, all three of these guys are trying to imitate Beanie Bishop. They want to use this as a way to improve themselves and prove themselves so that they can at least get a shot at an NFL roster or practice squad. Going to be tough for Fagan and Tarnow because, well, of course, they're getting here. Well, Fagan is enrolled. I haven't heard on Tarnow yet, but if he gets here, that means both of them will have at least the whole summer to prep. And that puts them ahead of Bishop. Bishop got in fairly late. So either of those guys could easily press for a starting spot or at least a strong, strong number two, get 30 snaps a game, something like that. 25 might be enough. We move down to, second level, which is, again, we're just talking in terms of years left, not where they're going to be on depth chart or anything. And there we get Garnes and Spells. Garnes, I think, is listed as a redshirt junior, Spells as a junior. So in theory, Spells could still use a redshirt year if he had to, hoping he doesn't have to. We want Spells back. We want him to fulfill that promise that we heard about before his freshman year and saw flashes of during his freshman year. Playing that much his freshman year helped and hurt. But he was coming on last year, looking good in spring until the injury. How much this injury is going to affect him, we won't know for a long time. But Garnes, again, he's making the biggest move up of any of the transfers. But he does have 2 years. So with Garnes, expecting extensive playing time this year. Will he start over Fagan and Tarna? He got here before them, and will he? I mean, it's going to give him an advantage. It's nice to be talking about a tough fight at corner at this point. But kind of critical as to whether or not Spells gets back, because right now our experience is all in that first three. Most of it's in that first three, and they're all new to WVU. Two of them, three if we count Garnes, are new to Power 3 ball, or Power 4. However many we still call Power. Spells, I mean, before we got transfers, Spells was the old man in the room. And that's really not good for the room. You want a spread of experience. And preferably, you want a spread of experience that is experienced at your program. And we haven't had that. We still don't have that. I think we are carefully moving towards it. Now, if you drop down another level, we get Crandall and Jackson. Crandall, a sophomore, played a lot as a freshman. Jackson, we have two Jacksons. One will start. One will be playing safety, one corner, or at least that's the way it's currently playing out. But if we just count playing years, they have the same amount left. And again, we've got one transfer who did get here early, and one guy who is coming up through the program. So we're getting a little more experience within the program, developing players. Now, there was a time when people were expecting Crandall to start. With all of the additional transfers we've brought in, who are one-year guys, you tend to figure Crandall isn't going to start. Now, will he be a 25-play guy or a 10-game play? Will he play in the 25-snap range, or will he play maybe 10 snaps a game on defense and pick up more on special teams? That's kind of where his question is going to be. And some of that's going to depend on Spells' injury. Jackson, you're kind of hoping he'll be able to give you some time at corner. A lot of time on at least 2, maybe 3 special teams. But you want to see him progress enough to be a 10 to 15 play guy at corner. Do not expect him to be a 25, 30 play guy. That would either mean he really progressed, which you might hope for but don't necessarily expect, or it would mean we had problems ahead of him and we don't want that. We've had enough of that sort of thing. We want things to run smoothly for a while. Now you look at the incoming freshmen. We've got Boyce and Washington. Fair chance that they will end up primarily as corners. Henry, I think, is listed as a safety, but a lot of these guys are going to get moved around. But if you look, that would mean this year we have 3 guys with 1 year, 2 guys with 2 years, 2 guys with 3 years, 2 guys with 4 years. That is getting things nicely spread out. so that we will have multiple players at each level. Guys who are very experienced, guys who are experienced, guys who are learning, guys who are new. That's the way you want it. Ideally, that's the way it stays. Of course, it's not going to stay that way. We're going to have guys who don't pan out. We're going to have guys who get season-ending injuries. We're going to get guys who transfer for one reason or another, or retire, or whatever. Speaking of retiring, I didn't mention Justin Johnson, former running back, has gone into coaching. It's not really clear if he just decided not to pursue football further as a player, if coaching had always been on his mind, and just what he's going to do about finishing a degree. If he wants to go far in high school coaching, he will need that degree. Whether or not he's hoping for this maybe to lead to a graduate assistantship sort of thing, I don't know. Don't know if coaching was on his mind or if it was just a last-ditch kind of thing. We probably will be finding out more. Somebody will do an interview. I'm not planning on it. I'll plan on watching it or reading it. So there will be changeover. We'll have to hit the portal, and we're getting pretty good at that. This year's portal class is reasonably well thought of. More importantly, it is precisely dedicated towards the needs of the team. I'll probably be talking more about that later. Might do an overall video with a closer look at the transfers. Did that a while back. Haven't done it for a while. See if I can come up with a little quirk on the perspective to make it worth doing. But right now, we look good at corner. We look good at pretty much all the positions. When you have your entire senior class or transfers just coming in, and a couple of your guys at the next two levels are also transfers, you still got questions. I think things look good. We've got a lot of speed. We have a lot of choices. I mean, it hasn't just been we haven't had good enough corners. The last 2 years, we haven't had corners. It's not good enough. It's just enough. Now we have, 3, 5, 7, 9. And of course, not expecting the freshmen to play corner. Hopefully, one or two of them will get in on special teams, and somebody likely redshirt. All right. I think I covered everything except saying, please share. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Make comments. Click the notification bell so you can get fair warning that I've got a video out. And make comments, because it does give me a chance to write things in response. I'll be thinking of things to talk about. I'll be watching what's going on. And I'll see you later. Whether that's a threat or a promise. So long, guys.